Hello! Welcome back. It is Heather with Bell's Library. I am doing my April wrap-up today. So I have 9 books to share with you guys that I read in the month of April. That totaled 2,339 pages. I feel like that wasn't quite as many pages as I was imagining with 9 books. But I guess none of my books were super lengthy novels. I just realized I forgot to grab one of the books that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, we're back. So I figured that I would start with a couple stats here, and then we would start with my lowest star book and kind of work my way up. As you will see in just a second, I have quite a few 4-star books. I didn't really rank those. I'm just going to talk about them all together. So for the month of April, I had 1 2-star, 1 3-star, 6 4-stars, and 1 5-star book. So it was a pretty good reading month. I'm very happy to not have had too many books that I didn't enjoy reading. So starting with the first book. So my only 2-star book this month was X Marks the Spot. It is by S.E. Anderson. I was sent an e-arc through NetGalley for this one, and unfortunately it just didn't hold up to be that good of a story. I really was kind of dragging and had to kind of push my way through it. I wanted to give a good honest review and getting some good standing on NetGalley so I could get some more books, but this one just wasn't for me. I found that it just was kind of slow. The author kept repeating certain things over and over again, but not like really building them to anything more. It was just like, oh, my mom got in an accident and it's all my fault, and so I can't have fun. And she just kept saying that over and over again, but you didn't get anything more than that. And there's just a lot of instances like that. I just realized I didn't really tell you much about the book. So this book follows a girl who goes to France to visit her grandmother who she's never met, and she's a senior in high school, and her parents are estranged from the grandma, and they were all going to go on this trip together to finally meet her mammy, but her parents ended up in an accident and her mom is learning how to walk again, so her parents stayed back home and she just went, and she's dealing with the kind of guilt that goes with that. Apparently you learn about more of that like way later in the book, and I don't want to spoil anything right now for you on that one. And then you also see there's obviously a broken relationship between the grandparents and the granddaughter and the parents, and the main kind of storyline that follows you through most of the book is our main character finds a love letter that her dad wrote to her mom, taking her on a scavenger hunt to spots that they had dates and their first kiss and different stuff like that throughout France. So she decides to do the scavenger hunt because they never got to do it, and she wants to find out what the big prize is at the end of the scavenger hunt, and then maybe send all these letters back to her mom and hoping that that'll make her mom better. And it was a cute premise. It should have made a fun, mushy little book, but it just didn't. And the end, you just find everything out, and then it's wrapped up in like 2 seconds, and it's like you had 17 years of miscommunication, and there's just not a lot there. So that one was a little disappointing for me. My 3-star book for the month, I think I actually gave this one like a 3.5, was Princess and the Fangirl by Ashley Poston. I think that's how you say it, Poston. I actually really enjoyed this book, and I think the only reason that I rate it a little bit lower is mainly because I'm not totally the audience for it. This is a YA, so it's for a little bit younger crowd, and for me it just didn't give as much as it would if I was younger. But I really liked all the fun like sci-fi references, especially some of the Star Wars ones. I grew up watching the Star Wars movies with my dad over and over. It's one of my favorite memories, hanging out with him. And so that was really fun part of this. So a little bit about what this is about. It follows these two girls. One of them is a huge fangirl for Princess Amara and the Starfield movie / TV series that has been going on. And she wants to save Princess Amara from being killed out in the next sequel movie. The other one follows the actress who is playing Princess Amara, and she doesn't really like the role. She doesn't enjoy it, and the two of them look very much alike, and they end up swapping places. So kind of Parent Trap style. They're switching roles, and they kind of learn what it's like to be in the other person's shoes, and that you can't make assumptions about anybody's life. And so there's definitely some really cute growth in this book. There's good LGBTQ representation in here as well. It's not really like blatantly in your face. It's just kind of, there's couples that fall into that category that are just part of the story. So that's really nice to see. And it was a very cute book. I definitely think 3.5 stars is a good rating. It just didn't go higher because it's just not my age group necessarily, but I definitely would read it if I knew that. And I definitely want to read. I still haven't read the first one in the Once Upon a Con series, and I would love to read the new one that's coming out, The Bookish and the Beast, because obviously Beauty and the Beast, gotta love it. So the next little section is going to be all my 4-star books. Again, these aren't really in any order, they're just all my 4-star books. So I'll start with the one that I have a copy of, and that is No Exit by Taylor Adams. So this is a thriller that basically this girl is trying to travel, but there's a huge snowstorm going on, so she gets stuck at a rest stop with herself and 4 other people. And when she goes out to try to make a phone call to her mom and let her know that she's not going to make it for the night, she sees in the back of a van a little girl's or boy's hand, a kid's hand, on the back of the window. And so she's basically staying at this rest stop with a kidnapper. And so it kind of follows how that all plays out and what she does, and how basically it goes over one night and these 5 people, and there are some really good twists and turns to this one. I thought at first, I was like, oh, this is just a small twist, this wasn't like a big one, and then all of a sudden there was another one, and then another one, and just like kept going, and I was just like, what is happening? And by the end of the book, I was just like, what? Okay. And it like took me a while to just like calm down. Like it was like later in the evening, and I was like, I need to go to sleep, but I am like worked up. What just happened? I just really enjoyed the ride that book took me on. So the next one that I will talk about is Daisy Jones and the Six. Taylor Jenkins Reid is definitely becoming one of my absolute favorite authors. The only reason I put this one as 4 was because number 5 or 5-star for me was Evelyn Hugo, and this one just, it wasn't quite there, so I put this one as a 4 because it just, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is one of my absolute favorite books ever. It had me like bawling, so that's the only reason I rated this one a little bit lower. I also requested to get an audiobook of this one through Libby, and it's like 14 weeks out or something, because I would really like to listen to this on audio, because I know it has the full cast and everybody really likes the audio more than reading, but I honestly really enjoyed reading it as well. She does such a good job of making these characters seem like real people and like they actually are alive, and I felt like I was in the 70s, and what the 70s you think of: drugs, sex, rock and roll. So if you guys don't know, this story follows a band called Daisy Jones and the Six. It's in interview format, and basically it is telling you about the time in which, sorry, I don't know if you guys heard that. That was kind of loud. It it talks about how they became Daisy and the Jones and the Six, and from all the different band members, and then also like the time that they were popular, and then all of a sudden they just broke up and nobody ever knew why. And so you're kind of hearing from each of the band members what happened and about that whole time in their lives. And Daisy Jones is definitely a little bit of a lost soul, and you get to kind of learn about her. But I really liked Billy. I thought he was a really dynamic character too, and he kept kind of a balance going on in the book and in the band, and there's a fun little twist at the end, and it definitely was kind of like, oh, what? Okay. So it kind of wrapped things up kind of fun and different, but definitely 4 stars. Would definitely recommend you read any Taylor Jenkins Reid books. They are awesome. I also read After I Do this month by Taylor Jenkins Reid, so I'll just get going into that one. This one I actually listened to on audio through the library, so I don't have a physical copy of this one, but I rated it 4 stars, and this one follows a couple who realize that after 11 years together, they feel like they're just not in love anymore. In their relationship, they aren't happy. They don't want to be around each other. So the two of them decide to take a year of a separation in which they don't talk, they don't email, they don't text, they live in different houses. They're just going to be completely separate, like they are leading their own single lives for a year, and then reconvene after a year and see what they want to do about their marriage. And it was just really like interesting to be talking about a married couple instead of people falling in love, and what happens after all that lust and, you know, all the hormones and everything just kind of die down, and you're living your life, and just keeping that marriage alive. And what do you do when some of that candle just kind of delves down and isn't as hot and steamy? So I really enjoyed kind of going on that journey and with the characters and seeing how they grew and learned, and the ending is of course wonderful, and I love how it was all wrapped up. So definitely 4-star read on that one for me. Let's see. I also read I believe it's an arc by Elizabeth Neep. It's called The Spare Bedroom, and I really enjoyed this one too. I had so many books that I really liked this month. So The Spare Bedroom is about this girl who is a little bit lost in life. She is, I think, like 27 or 28. So she's getting close to 30. She feels like she's gone nowhere with her career. She's just been this assistant for forever, and her art career just never went anywhere like she wanted it to. And her relationship with this guy that she was super in love with has been over for a few years, but she just hasn't been able to move on. So she decides to take a trip and move to Australia, and things get a little chaotic at first when she first gets there, and she ends up without anywhere to live. And the day she does that, she runs into her ex-boyfriend that she had been madly in love with, and he offers for her to move into his spare bedroom with him and his fiance. And so she's living there, and you're hearing about all this crazy way she's thinking about, oh, why is he asking me to live here? And you're kind of going back and forth between, like, maybe he misses her too, and maybe we want them back together. And then you're like, no, but he's happy with her, and maybe that's the way it's supposed to go. And it definitely, like, had my mind, like, kind of going in several different directions, wondering where the end of the story was going to go. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I think the author did a really good job of just kind of keeping me wondering. And then also the main character, she was very, like, personable. Like, you could feel that being that person that just, like, wanted to reconnect with somebody that they used to love, but not really sure where they're at, and being a little bit lost in the world. I know a lot of people, as they come to like a big age turn point, like 30 or 40 or 50, I don't know about some of the older ages, but I just turned 30 and there's just a lot you're like thinking about your life and you're just like, have I done anything yet? I'm almost 30. I should be getting into the main big piece of my life. I should be getting done with all my childishness, and you're thinking the grand big things and nothing's happening, and I just related on that one. I'm 30 years old and I definitely went through some of that, and I decided to become a nurse, so that's what I'm working towards. But anyways, I really enjoyed that story and I gave it a 4-star. Another book I read was A Constellation of Roses. This was a really cute YA contemporary that followed this girl who never knew her dad, lived with her mom, but her mom had issues with drug dependency and different stuff, and one day they were living in this hotel and her mom just never came back, and so she decided that she was going to be living on her own, and she was trying to avoid like the foster system and her handler, I can't think of the word, but eventually it catches up to her and they actually find the dad's sisters, so her aunts are still living, and they figure this out, and she goes and lives with them and kind of puts down this normal roots, and they are encouraging her to blossom and grow. They also have like a smidge of this little magical side kind of sprinkled in there, but it's not like an overwhelming thing. It's just kind of a cute thing to just add into the story. Each of the women in the family have like a special kind of gift that they share with the community and stuff. And it's just a really fun, cute, growing up, coming of age kind of story. And I really enjoyed that little piece of magic in there. And the characters were really well built up, and you just got to see a lot of fun growth. And then also some of the past come up in different memories. And it was just really beautifully told. I have to check on my dog because he is struggling. I don't know if you guys watched my May TBR, but I talked a little bit about this in that one. Definitely go and watch it if you haven't. But he hurt his back, and so he's been having to be in more of a small, contained space. So he's not supposed to be really walking around and running and jumping and anything like that. So he is hating it, and I can hear him whining and whining. So I'm going to go see if I can calm him down. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, we're back. I got the Timmy here with me now. See if I can keep him a little more calm while we finish wrapping all the rest of these up. Okay, so let's see. I think this is my last 4-star read. So my last 4-star read is going to be A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This one is a super fun story. I love magical elements to a story. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Probably one of the biggest series and things that got me really into reading. And I got a whole bunch of Harry Potter goodies. No need to chill. So this one was really fun in the world building aspect and just a very different way to see magic, and I loved that. Still had some rules and order to it, but then some surprises along the way as well. So if you don't know what this is about a world in which there's 4 different Londons, and only 2 people can actually travel in between each of the Londons because all the walls and doors got shut off between them. So there's Black London, which nobody goes in or out of. It's been completely sealed off because it got completely taken over by magic. And then you have White London, which is the closest to Black London, and it's not doing very well either. And every few months somebody kills to take over the throne, and there's a lot of just crime, and it's just not the ideal London that most people would want to live in. Sorry, I know a lot of interruptions here. Okay, so Red London is where magic really flourishes, and there's magic everywhere, and it's healthy and a good system, and there's a monarchy that runs the city. And then we've got gray London, which is like our world. So there's no magic, and it's that's why they call it gray. It's like drab, blunt, plain, nothing really happening there. So basically we're following Kel, who is one of the Antari that can move between the worlds, and he gets himself into some trouble and has to bring this artifact into Black London, but he also ends up picking up Lila along the way in Grey London, and she wants an adventure and she doesn't have a lot going on in her life, so she ends up coming with him, and it's kind of their journey. And I don't want to tell too much about it because I don't know, I just feel like it's better unsaid and just experienced. But I really enjoyed the world building in this, and the story was really fun, and the characters were very unique and different, and I definitely want to continue in this series. So I gave this one a 4-star. And my very last book to share with you guys is going to be my last 5-star read. I just finished this book on April 30th. So I haven't fully formed all the thoughts in the world on this one, but I flew through this book. I finished almost the whole thing in like one day. I couldn't put it down. I was supposed to be doing schoolwork and I did not. So this is going to be Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. I'm super surprised that I enjoyed this book as much as I did, but it was just super like intriguing, and I just was sucked in. And the first night that I started it, I got through like a couple hours of the audiobook, and I was gonna go down my hallway and it was really dark, and I like thought second thoughts about it, and I was like, well, apparently this book's creeping me out more than I realized. So the basic premise of this book is a lot like Supernatural. We have Cass. He goes to different towns and he moves with his mom, and he is a ghost killer. They can't really be killed, but he sends them to wherever they're going after. And he only goes after ghosts that are like murdering and hurting other people. And so he finishes up with his job and he goes to Anna Dressed in Blood, who lives in this house, and anybody that goes in the house, she like rips him limb from limb and kills him. And for some reason, he's really drawn to this case and going there. And when he gets into the town and starts doing his research, he ends up going to the house, and she doesn't kill him. And he's like, why isn't she killing me? And for some reason, she just can't seem to kill him, but he can't seem to kill her. And things ensue from there. But it's very, like, it just pulls you in, and you just want to just keep going with the story. There was some really good twists towards the end, a couple of them. Actually, they were kind of early on, and, like, it was just action-packed. It wasn't a super long audiobook. It was, like, 8 hours. So there was no time for it to really, like, slow down and be too slow. It was just, like, going and going and going. And I loved it. It was, it was very, very good. So that is, I think, all of them. I hoped you guys enjoyed hearing about what I read for April, and definitely, if you get a chance, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you guys can come back and see more, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!